All right, so in preparation for that, I'd like to welcome to the stage Pedro de Velasco, who's the Director of Education and Advocacy at the Kino Border Initiative, and he's going to give us a policy briefing on migration justice. So welcome him up.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure being here with you today. My name is Pedro de Velasco. I'm a migrant from Mexico, and I'm also the Director of Education and Advocacy with the Kino Border Initiative. And I know that you're all excited to learn more about migration policy on the early Sunday morning. Let's learn a little bit more about it. So basically, the Kino Border Initiative, we're a binational Catholic organization. We are right at the border of what is called Ambos Nogales, in the border between Nogales, Sonora, and Nogales, Arizona, U.S.-Mexico border. And we work to promote humane, just, and workable migration. And we do this through direct humanitarian assistance and holistic accompaniment of migrants, education and encounter, to awaken solidarity with migrants. And also we engage in policy advocacy both in Mexico and the United States. So, of course, asylum is a big deal when we talk about migration policy, particularly border policy, because for a few years now, the US government has tried to block people or prevent them from exercising their right to asylum. Yes, asylum is a human right. And so an asylum seeker is a person that is fleeing violence and persecution in their home country. And that violence and persecution they're facing has to do with their race or ethnicity, with their nationality, with their religion, their political opinion, or their membership to certain social group. And therefore, they're seeking protection elsewhere in another country. So right now, the vast majority of the folks that we continue to receive at the U.S.-Mexico border are people that are fleeing violence and persecution. And yes, right now, the asylum ban, I don't know if you have heard of it, but it's not, like something new that the U.S. government suddenly decided to block people from exercising the right to asylum. But this has been, unfortunately, going on for a while. Before you had metering, then you have the migrant protection protocols, or the protocols of the three lives, because they're not for migrants, they're not for their protection, and of course they're not protocols. And then you had, you might also learn of them about the Remain in Mexico. And then, the US government decided to weaponize the pandemic, use it as an excuse to effectively prevent migrants from accessing asylum with what was called Title 42. And yes, that ended after over 3 years, blocking people on May of this year. So you will guess, okay, Pedro, so now migrants are able to approach the border and exercise the right to asylum and come to the United States? Unfortunately, no, because there's currently what is known as the asylum ban or the asylum rule. So basically, this rule says that someone can be disqualified from asylum based on how they enter the United States. So if a person enters the United States without a CBP-1 appointment, they can be disqualified. If they enter without using this special payroll program for Cuban, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, they can be disqualified. Or if they travel through different countries, including Mexico, and they didn't seek asylum in any of these countries, then they can be disqualified. So basically, who can qualify? Well, only a very small number of individuals. So CBP-1, basically the US government wants folks that are trying to come to the United States to seek protection to download an app in their smartphones, and through that app they are able to fill out all their information and then request an appointment, but it's just randomly allocated, so it's like winning the lottery. So we have people that have been stuck in Nogales for months and months without being able to secure an appointment because, it's just luck getting it. And of course, it's not at any port of entry that you can, seek an appointment. There's only a few that are participating. So, and the other problem is that, this comes from the presumption that every asylum seeker has a cell phone, and that those that have a cell phone have a smartphone. even those that have a smartphone, that they know how to operate it. I don't know about you, but can you imagine your mom and dad downloading an app and, securing an appointment, even their lives depend on it? So, yeah, it's a challenge. So the other one is that payroll for Cuban, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. So basically, the U.S. decided that people from these countries are able to be payrolled in the United States. So it's a good program, but only for a very few number of people, because it has a lot of requirements, and not everybody meets them. So first, you must have somebody in the United States willing to fill out a form I-134A on your behalf, basically saying I will sponsor this person. You have to have an unexpired, valid passport for international travel. You have to pay for your own commercial flight. And the other thing is that you cannot have been deported from the United States. Finally, if you already crossed the border of Panama or the border of Mexico or the border of the United States, you're also disqualified for this program. So, it's only in benefit of a very small number of individuals. I remember talking to Alberto, a young Venezuelan man, and he was telling me, he was right there at the border of Nogales, Sonora, Nogales, Arizona, and he was learning for the first time about this payroll program, and he was telling me, I didn't know about this. But even if I knew, I could have not waited in Venezuela because my life was at stake. I had to get out of there as fast as I could. So that's really not an option, waiting for somebody to file this form for you and then being approved and then get a flight ticket and all that. It's just nonsense. So, and even with all that we've been saying, if somehow you're able to overcome these obstacles, you win the lottery, you secure a CBP1 appointment, or you have somebody willing to sponsor you from the United States and you come with this payroll program, if you're one of the lucky nationalities, even if you're able to get to the United States, it's not you want a golden ticket and everything's easy. And I always explain this to people, it's not the end of the fight or the struggle. It's just the end of a chapter. You finish the chapter fighting for asylum in Mexico, and now you begin the new chapter that is fighting for asylum in the United States. And one of those challenges have to do with integration, and the main one has to do with asylum seekers not being able to get an employment authorization document. So I don't know if you know this, but depending on how they enter, but most of asylum seekers right now, they have to wait for 5 months after they submitted their asylum application in order to be able to request an employment authorization document through the I-765 form. So basically, after they submit it, they still have to wait, it says, about a month to get it, but in reality, because of all the backlogs and processing delays with USCIS, it takes anywhere between 8 months to a year, or sometimes even more. So, imagine, for example, a very close friend of ours, Carlota, was a migrant who was stranded in Nogales for nearly a year. After she was able to get to the United States, she struggled to secure a source of income because, the U.S. government is expecting her to simply rely on her sponsor and not work. And as she's telling me, we need to get a lawyer, an immigration lawyer, right away. And those are expensive in the U.S. And we need to provide for our children. And we are hardworking people. We are used to provide for our families. But we're not able to do this. Or as Miriam was telling me, this actually put us at risk of being abused by employers because without a document, she was working at this restaurant and she cut her finger, but since she was not on the payroll, she couldn't access healthcare. So, that's just a few of the problems. And, there's right now this Asylum Seeker Work Authorization Act at the House. So that's something that we will discuss, but that's, a great solution because it offers really the possibility of shortening this wait time for asylum seekers. And the other thing is, in general, there's over 10 million of undocumented immigrants in the United States without a pathway to citizenship. So, yes, Congress has the solution in their hands, but there hasn't been an immigration reform for years and years. So it's very difficult for a migrant to, regularize their status or even become a U.S. citizen. Of course, this includes DACA recipients, the TPS holders, farm workers, and other essential workers. And I don't know if you know, but there's something called the registry program. The registry program allows certain undocumented immigrants who have been continuously present in the United States. But here's the thing. So you have to have been present in the United States since January 1st of 1972. So yeah, it's a long run. So basically, this provision was last updated in 1986, and I know that most of us in this room haven't even been born yet then. So yeah, me included, of course. And so I mean, yeah, this definitely needs to be updated. So tomorrow, for your visit with some of the congressional offices, I have this ask for you. Of course, you can add more, the ones that resonate with you. But the main one that we're focusing right now regarding the border, we are asking to reallocate DHS funds to maximize access to asylum at ports of entry. Both for people with CBP-1 appointments, it's a benefit for certain people, but also for people without a CBP-1 appointment. Instead of investing in detention and enforcement programs. Also to increase congressional oversight on DHS through hearings, inquiries, and accountability reports. To allocate more funds to the shelter and services programs. This actually funds NGOs that are doing humanitarian work, welcoming our migrant siblings at the border. Also, of course, I was mentioning it to support the Asylum Seeker Work Authorization Act, the HR 1325. And this last bill is about updating the registry program, the one that I was telling you about that hasn't been updated since 1986, that tells certain people can register and get a pathway for a green card if they have been around since 1972. So the idea behind this bill is that people are able to access a green card if they have been present since, for the last 7 years. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we have a table there at Columbia, so you can always approach Kino Border Initiative, and I'll be happy to address any questions. Thank you.